us today. Our group created a job application tracker that we'll get into in just a second, but first, let's introduce our team members. Dennis Corral, a force fitness instructor trainer with 11 years of active duty service with the U.S. Marine Corps. Francisco Avila, a combat instructor with 8 years of active duty U.S. Marine Corps service. Luis Manzo, an aviation weather forecaster with 4 years of active duty service in the Air Force. Myself, Maya Clay, a finance and marine safety officer with 13 years in the U.S. Coast Guard. And Rexford Wiafe, a construction project manager with 5 years in the U.S. Air Force. Now let's get into our project. So when we were creating our project, we wanted to look and see what is a problem that needs to be solved. Most of us who are graduating from this program are actively looking for jobs right now, and we really wanted to create a tool that could be used by everyone. One thing that we noticed was that when you're looking for a job, you're looking in all these different areas. You have LinkedIn, which allows you to look for the jobs. You have Hunter, which is an app that allows you to track those roles. You have Blind, which is an app that allows individuals to share feedback anonymously with other folks who might be interested in those industries. And you have Glassdoor, which gives you some salary information and just details and ratings about each company. The problem is none of this is centralized. So what we wanted to do was create a one-stop shop that would work for everyone who's looking for a new job. And in comes Jobify, a streamlined job search tool. So the problem here is that applying is only half of the battle. What makes Jobify unique compared to those other sites is that it's a one-stop shop to help users navigate both the application process and the interviewing processes using proven project management tools. The first step in the job application process is one that most people always think of. You search for roles that fit your job search, and then you can add those roles to your dashboard with our app. So not only can you find them, but you can make sure you keep a saved list. The next step that seems to be left out or not in one centralized location is that you have to prepare for those interviews. If you are lucky enough to get an interview, you have to go in prepared to set yourself apart from other people who are competing for those roles. The benefit of our app is that we offer open source forums to help people to prepare. For instance, if you're a user and you recently had an interview with a company, you can share details about your experience as well as resources that you use to prepare and any tips for success. We really wanted to drive home the fact that community helps everyone. Also, in doing this, we wanted to incorporate some of the really important agile frameworks that we've learned throughout this course, especially for organizing these details. So the big part of our website is that we have a dashboard that allows you to track everything from applications that you've submitted and all through the process. And then you'll also be able to save those details that you found in the forums to help you prepare for those roles in the future. And now I'll pass it on to my teammate, Dennis.
Thank you, Maya, for the introduction. Now let's get started with this demo. So this is the login page. You can either create an account if you don't have one, or if you do have one, such as in our case, you can just go ahead and use that information to log in. Once you log in, you are welcome to the Jobify homepage, or the dashboard, if you want to call it that. So we've identified the problem as not having one consolidated place to keep track of your jobs or the job application process. We've identified 4 categories in the process. We've identified one of them as being jobs that you're interested in, jobs that you have applied to, jobs that you have interviewed for, and jobs where you have received an offer. The way you get these jobs, we have 2 options. We can either use the search feature or you can do it manually. So let's go ahead and use the search feature first. This search feature is location based and it gives you a whole list of jobs in your area. From here, if you want more information, you can go ahead and click more info. It'll take you to the actual job posting where you can read, decide if you want to apply or if you want to save it for later. If you want to save it for later, you can just click Save Job. Let's go ahead and add something on the bottom as well. You can just save all these jobs. And once you do that, these jobs are created in your dashboard. So these cards have information for that job. You can also do it manually. Let's go ahead and add one manually. Instructor and the company link. Once you do that, it gets populated into that lane, and now you have all these jobs that you can either apply for, or if you're not interested in, you can go ahead and delete them. If you apply for them through the website, or if you apply via this app, you're going to click this apply button. It'll take you to the actual job posting where you can apply if you want to, or if you don't want to. Once you go back, you can go ahead and delete it. But as you apply, these jobs are moved from the interested category to the applied category. Or if you've applied via another method, you can still drag and drop to the next category, and now it'll be placed in that category. So after you've applied, up next is the interview. So you're going to move to the interview. You can drag and drop to the interview category, and throughout this whole process, as you get more information, you can click the card and add whatever information you've received, such as salary, location, and the date you've applied. And finally, once you've received the offer, you just drag and drop the card to the offer, and now you have that card in your offer category. And you can do that for all these jobs as well. So here, drag it to interview scheduled, drag it to offer received, and say you apply for a job and now you don't want to do it anymore, you go ahead and click X, and now it's off your list. But part of the job process is not only is it time consuming, but it can be kind of hard doing it by yourself. So we've introduced a forum where you can talk to other users. So for example, you can say, oops. To make a post. Now you have a post. You can edit your post. You can delete it. You can add some more stuff. But for now, we'll just leave it blank. One thing that I'm looking at now that could be a little better is this picture. Since it's your profile, you should be able to add your own picture. So we went ahead and added that feature. So Bob wants a picture. We're going to go ahead and give him a picture. Add the picture, and now you have access to that picture in various parts of the application. So yeah, that is the Jobify application. Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis. Here's an overview of the tech stack we used to build Jobify. In the front end, we use vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to handle the basics. And we added React, a front-end JavaScript library, to create the reactive UI and handle user interactions within components. We styled these components using React Bootstrap, a component library that lets us use native Bootstrap components inside of React. And we also use Tailwind CSS framework for the smaller details. The Axios HTTP client was used to perform requests to various endpoints in the Django backend, which were received by the Django REST framework. And in the backend, the Django auth library handled our user authorization, and PsychoPG database API was used to interact with our PostgreSQL database. And the request library, with the help of the Rapid API, was used to make requests to the Google Jobs API. which served all of our jobs data. On the collaboration side, all the code was handled via GitHub, and for other communication, it was primarily Slack and Zoom. But we also use Microsoft Teams at different times to give us flexibility around scheduling conflicts and technical difficulties. And speaking of technical difficulties, I'm going to pass it on to Francisco to talk about the challenges faced during the project.
Thank you, Lewis. Some of the obstacles that we had to become in the front end were our dashboard. Whenever we're setting up our dashboard, we use the React Trello library. And unfortunately, the documentation wasn't as descriptive as we would have liked it to be. After looking through the documentation, my coworkers were able to figure out a way to design the library so that our dashboard looks the way it does now. In the back end, we had a little bit of a difficulty ensuring that the information that was being sent from the back end to the front end was the information that they desired. That tied with our communication and coordinating routes. The problem was not building the actual functionality of the app, but ensuring that both the back end and front end teams were on the same page as to what information we were receiving from one another. Along with communication and time zones, we had problems making sure that our meetings were in time that would be beneficial to to everybody in the team. But with the proper sacrifices, we were all able to ensure that we attended meetings when needed in order to make the app what it is today. And communication between both teams, as far as communicating the request, was also something that we had to figure out in a way as to how to put our thoughts in a way that we could communicate them with somebody else in the team. Thank you.
Thank you, Francisco. Hi, my name is Rex. For future improvements, we'll be adding the following features. When a user is signing in, they'll have the option to sign in via LinkedIn or GitHub. When a user is making a post on the forum page, they'll be able to use a rich text editor to do things such as making their text bold or italicized and even upload attachments. Users will be able to react to posts with emojis, and they'll be able to reply to posts as well. Users will be able to add a job from the forum page. And finally, users will be able to send private messages to other users and receive private messages from other users. Thank you.